The retreat could not be what the retreat was without you all serving. And I know this sounds weird. It's revelation. I was just telling the elders. I've spoken at probably 100 retreats, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to do that. And I've gone on, at Pine Rock, I've been there 40 times at least, with our own personal retreats and everything. And it sounds weird, please forgive me. This is the first time I thought about it at this retreat. And the reason why is you all stepped up to make the retreat what it was. And I was taken aback, remember, at the retreat, because wow, they're cutting out the devotion I used to make. Oh, they're cutting back one prayer meeting. Oh, no workshop. It's like, we're gutting the retreat, right? That's what I was thinking. But I realized, I've been a speaker, and I realized, even when I spoke there or even here, the main thing of a retreat is not the speaker. I'd love to think I am. I'm not. I'm not the big deal. The big thing is community. The community that interacts with one another. And that's why we cleared the schedule so you all could meet. And I looked at the dinner table, the tables, and the fire and mingling, and everybody was with each other. It was just a wonderful experience. I realized, yeah, you're important, but not that important, Pastor, the speaker. Now, granted, we are learning those things through the Word, but church community is so important. And I think we do this really well. We're getting there really well. And the Word, I think we're getting well. So we're growing. The growing is happening in our church. But now we move towards the going. And the going has 4 parts. 3 parts in this series. Number 1 today, cultivating intentional relationships. And we'll talk more about that. Number 2, next week, developing a testimony. If you became a member, you had a simple testimony, which is good. But I want you to be able to look at your life and say, what can I tell people about Jesus and what he's done for my life? That's all a testimony is. And finally, sharing the simple gospel, which is probably the scariest for you. But man, if I gave you 3 or 4 verses and just said, this is how you explain the gospel to someone, it's very simple. If they get into do all people go to hell? We can talk about that. But the main thing is the simple gospel. Jesus Christ, God's Son, died for your sins, and he offers you eternal life. And I'll tell you, the Gen Zs, this generation, is more open to spiritual things now than ever before. It's really awesome. I'll tell you, key people I've met, they're all in their 20s, and they are engaged in reading their Bible and wanting to know more about Jesus. It's great. Okay, so think of your everyday experience. I'll just say yesterday, Saturday, because you just came to church. You just met us. What people did you come in contact with yesterday? You may not even think about who did you come in contact with yesterday, but really didn't engage. Did you go out to a restaurant? Any of you? Did you engage with the waiter? With maitre d'? Okay. Someone come to your house to take care of something or whatever. Did you engage with them? No. Your kids were involved in an activity and the parent came to the door. Did you engage with them? When you went shopping, did you say anything to the checker or, So please, anything, just think about it right now. Just share right now, real quickly.
Dutch Bros drive-thru.
What's that?
Dutch Bros drive-thru. The drive-thru at Dutch Bros?
Okay.
Oh, they're talkative all the time. So.
Good.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's checkout people are always talking.
What was that, Karen?
Trader Joe's.
Oh, Trader Joe's a good one, right? Good. You raise your hand, Lee, right?
The restaurant? Yes, I raised my hand, yeah.
Okay. Ryan, you had your hand up?
I was stretching.
Oh,
I went to the Kind Bean. It's a place in Chandler. Went to the Kind Bean.
okay.
It's a coffee shop, little cafe with Matt yesterday.
Right. See, we actually contact a lot of people every day. We just don't realize it. You can go right through the checkout line. You don't even look at the cashier. You just zip your card. The Costco, how many of you don't go in the line? You go into the self-serve line. That person who takes your card or goes through your cart beforehand, right? You could engage with them, or you just say, that's life, and I just go on. So there's a lot of times that we can contact people, we just don't realize it, okay? So that's my main point there. Now, best ways to learn to interact with others is from the master himself, Jesus. Jesus was a master at contacting and making conversation. We saw it today with the parable of the, we'll talk about that. He attended a wedding of a family friend. I think it was his mom's friend, right? And he went there. And he talked to different people, right? He engaged with them. He wasn't saying, hey, I've got more important things to do than, go to a wedding. No, he went to the wedding and he made it. He helped the wedding couple not lose face by turning the water to wine, okay? A religious leader, immediate next chapter, John chapter 3, Nicodemus comes to him in the middle of the night. I can't tell if it was a surprise visit or it was a planned visit. But if it was unexpected, that's great that Jesus engaged with him. If it was something that he intended to happen, if we go through the dialogue, it's amazing how he talked to this guy, okay? The healing of the lame man at the pool of Bethesda, 5. He's sitting there waiting beside the pool. They believed that an angel came and stirred up the water. And when he stirred, first one in the water gets healed. Jesus intentions to go, and he's watching these people, and he sees that guy. He says, what do you want? He goes, I can't. Notice he didn't say, I want to be healed of my lameness. He said, nobody can get me into the pool. And that's an indirect way. Well, I wouldn't say passive aggressive, but it was like, Jesus like, you want to be healed. Let's heal you. But Jesus also knew how to provoke because he knew what he was doing on the Sabbath. He's like, oh man, I'm going to piss off a lot of religious leaders here. But he did it, right? So he knew what he was doing. Interaction with the boy who had loaves of bread and fish. I love it. The disciples come to him like, we got 5,000 people here. I don't know how we're going to feed them. Jesus, go tell them to go into town. He goes, you feed them. And at least one disciple, is like, well, here's a boy. I don't know what that guy was thinking. He said, here's a boy with 2 fish and 5 loaves. What did But the boy, this poor boy, can you imagine what he was thinking? Like, what's going on here, man? But they used him. And it was interesting. What do you think? I just thought about that. What do you think that boy thought after all of his food was multiplied? Like, oh my goodness, he became a believer. A woman caught in adultery, John chapter 8. He's talking to the leaders, and they are not happy with him. And they take this woman caught in adultery and throw her before his feet and say, this woman's caught in adultery. The law says stone her. What do you say, Jesus? Oh, that was an unexpected thing, and Jesus turned that interaction into a time to talk about mercy. But everybody forgets that the last words he said to her, where are your accusers? He goes, they're no one. Neither do I accuse you. He doesn't end it there. What is his last words? Anybody? Go and sin no more. So everybody who thinks, oh, Jesus just all love and forgive. No, go and sin no more. That woman was changed because of what Jesus did and said to her. A woman was healed by touching his robe. He's just minding his own business. And I guess being God, he felt it. Like, who touched my robe? Can you imagine being that woman? She gets caught unexpectedly and is like, it's me. He goes, what are you doing? She goes, I thought if I touch your robe, I'd be healed. You are. Be healed. Do you think she became a believer out of that situation? He could have scared her off, Like, don't go taking my power from me. The lawyer who tested him. That's what we did today. That guy, you saw our sermon today. That guy got caught off guard. But I love Jesus. The way he teaches is he asks questions. What does the law say? What should you do? Go and do likewise. So, okay. Oh, one of my favorites is the man, born blind. He goes up to him, puts mud in his eyes, go to the pool of Siloam and wash it out. That man had to walk blocks on his own to be healed, and he was healed. And then, of course, the religious leaders are ticked off again. Who did this to you? This man, Jesus? Well, give God the glory. He's a sinner. And he goes, whether he's a sinner or not, I don't know. I was blind, now I see. And then they question him, right? And he says, now that's a great thing. You know, we know that sinners can't do these things, but this guy did it, so he must be from God. Ticks them all off and throw him out. And he's cast out. Even his parents don't want to be with him. What does Jesus do? He intentions to meet with him again and says, what are you here? You know, he goes, you know, and he just encouraged him to continue on. So Jesus takes those opportunities and he uses them to reach people and to help them grow in their faith. But you cannot reach people and help them in the faith if you first don't interact with them. And that takes intention. So we're going to look at a parable. It's the Samaritan woman at the well. It said, when he had to go through Samaria, so he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about the 6th hour. You start from 6 in the morning. So 6 hour would be noon, okay? And that's warm in Palestine. It's a warm time of year. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, will you give me a drink? His disciples had gone into town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, you are a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered, if you knew the gift of God who is that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with, and this well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from himself as he did his sons and his flocks and herds? Again, they were sons of Jacob, Israelites, but they went off and followed pagans. Jesus answered, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become to him a spring of water welling up to eternal life. The woman said to him, sir, give me this water so I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water. He told her, go, call your husband and come back. I have no husband. If you know the dialogue, I know you don't have one. You actually had 7. And the one you're living with now isn't even your husband. Then she realized, I'm dealing with someone who is not normal. But he engaged with her. And there were so many things wrong with this, but he did it. And so there's some lessons I think we can learn about interaction just from this. Actually, all 3 workshops are going to be centered on this interaction with the woman in the well. We're going to talk about testimony, and we're going to talk about sharing the gospel. In the case of sharing the gospel, it's Jesus giving her the gospel. In the case of sharing, she goes back to the village and she says, I just met a man who knew everything about me. Okay. So, what are the things that we learn on interacting? By the way, how many of you have a hard time just meeting a stranger? It could be someone working in your home or whatever. You don't want to interact with them. Lydia, you said that. Karen? Why?
I can't hear very well.
Huh?
I can't hear very well.
Okay.
Did you want to come up and read?
Not right now, I'm saying that.
Oh, I can't hear very well. Thank you. I should
That's
read that.
why. That's why, okay.
That's because you can't hear. All right. Anybody else? Lydia, Chris?
Yeah. I just get
Scared.
nervous. Yeah.
Just talking to someone.
Yeah.
Okay, good. In other words, you guys could never be salespeople. You
I was a
cannot
salesperson.
be. Yeah, you
I was
cannot
not a
be.
good one.
You cannot be afraid and be a salesperson, right, Dan? Dan's in business. Dan's a businessman, right? You got to engage with people if you want to sell them something. All right. Anybody else who said Karen? You said
I said it makes me uncomfortable.
what?
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay, so Karen wrote a book, writing more,
Yes.
and you had to do book signings, right?
Yes.
Is that hard?
I have to put on a different hat, social hat.
Okay. I'm glad she said that. Karen says, my natural tendency is I don't want to engage with people, but I wrote a book. I've got to engage. I'm putting on my author hat. By the way, did you guys know this statistic? What percentage of pastors, preachers, you think are extrovert and how many are introvert?
50-50.
50-50. It is 50-50. Half of pastors are introverts by nature, But guess what they have to do when they get in the pulpit? They become extroverted. You know, so it's what I'm trying to tell you with intentional communication, is it's outside of your comfort zone. It's not something that comes easy. It comes easy for me, but it does, if you don't want to interact with people, this is really hard. But I'm going to encourage you. In fact, I'm going to do this. Is there a piece of paper? I want you to put your email address because. Can someone find a piece of paper? All of you put your email address on there. No, put your phone number, okay? Because I'm going to do a text, or Jen, if you can create a list for me, we're going to send it out to you all, and you're going to share those daily things in the next 7 days. I met with, and I just, not that you shared the gospel, just, you never would have talked to him before, but you talked to someone. That's all I want, okay? So if you could do that for me, Grace, that'd be great. I love Grace. I love you all. Thank you, Grace. I don't have to do it. That's the way I felt on the retreat, man. I felt helpless. And by the way, I'm your pastor, but I don't need to be noticed. Jen came up to me. She said, "Do you want to pray here, Pastor? Or you want to get up and do that?" I said, "No, I don't need to. You guys are doing a great job. Nobody needs to see me. It's cool, you know." But if you notice, I'll tell you, if you were on the retreat, did I come up to your table throughout the whole retreat and just say, "Hi, how are you doing? What's going on?" Right? I preach what I believe. I hope you're encouraged by your pastor coming up to you and saying, "Hey, how you guys doing?" Da 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 da. You know. So, okay, what are lessons learned? Number one, intentional interaction. When you interact, because you're shy, because you don't like to normally meet with people, you've got to get out of your comfort zone and intention to do it. So the person that we see in this particular instance is Jesus. He goes to Samaria. You need to understand, if you come with us on our Israel trip, you know, I hope it works out with Gaza. If you know Gaza, it's right along the Mediterranean. If you go to Tel Aviv, we went to Tel Aviv, our first stop. It's so nice. It's right on the water. We went to the beach and we were just hung out in warm water. It's great. But if you go south of Tel Aviv, it's Gaza. They have all beach property, you know. And if I know Trump, he'll probably put a picture of Gaza from the water with the Trump Tower on it. Like, this is what I want it to become. But they have the potential to do that, right? But above Tel Aviv is the area of Samaria. And Samaria, you did not go into that area. Jews would not. But if you wanted the most direct route to the north, you had to go through Samaria. So he went out of his way, what a normal Jew would not do. He went to Samaria. Okay? And he intentioned, the implication was, he knew he was going to meet, maybe he didn't know he was going to meet a Samaritan woman, but he didn't back off being a Jewish man Jewish rabbi talking to a Samaritan woman. By the way, if you were the opposite sex, you don't talk in public to that person because they're just right. I have that in Indonesia and Muslim countries and stuff like that. You don't carry on. You know, even in a car, if I'm driving a car and we have there's two women in the back and I'm here, I'm not going to sit next to them. I'm going to be in the front. So he intentioned to do it. Examples in your own life. If you have to go to a PTA meeting, if you're going to a sports event, you know, my son, he's now in Hamilton, he actually follows like, "Dad, the big game is yesterday. Hamilton, or Friday night, Hamilton versus Basha. Basha is nationally ranked. Hamilton is not, but they're both 7-0. He's so happy because Hamilton won 28-12, right? He's so excited. And I go, "Ben, would you ever want to go to a game?" Happens to be on youth group night, but we'll talk about that if they're not. He goes, "Yeah, I'll do." But if he did, if you're sitting next to, would you actually talk to the persons other than you? He likes the Suns. I thought, I'll take you to a Suns game. Maybe I'll ask Oliver and Isaac to go, you know, or Ethan and Gary. You want to go? He said, "Yeah, You know what's funny about Ben? I said, hey, you want to go basketball game with me, sons? He goes, maybe. I go, well, what if it's with Ethan and Gary? He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, never mind. Now I know where I stand. But the bottom line is, for me, when I'm in that thing, I'm going to interact with the people around me. It's just how. So plane flight is a good one. How many of you, when you get on a plane and you're not near your spouse or friends, you just shut up. Just leave me alone. I'm going to, yeah? Yep. By the way, I know those people. I'll try to engage. They put up the vibe, man. If I was sitting next to Karen, yeah, I'm like, don't talk to her. But I would say 70% of the people don't mind. 30% like Karen do. Just leave me alone. Okay.
Okay, Karen.
The point. Interaction doesn't usually happen by chance. You have to intend to do it or it won't happen. You know, Karen, if you're doing book signing, right, and all you're doing is a woman comes and says, I love your book, it was so good, I just could really, yeah, thanks. And sign it and give it to her. You got away without talking to her, right? I don't know if you like the series. I don't watch network TV. But for some reason, because especially since my brother-in-law and my wife are doctors, I've watched only 3 episodes of the series House. That guy, you can't, well, my brother-in-law said, you can't be a doctor that way. He goes, I'm a doctor that doesn't want to interact with patients because they're idiots. He goes, I just want to diagnose. I don't need to be there talking to them. You know, I'm like, wow, you know. But if you don't interact, you don't have to. And I don't know if you've had various doctors. Some doctors want to hear and talk and dialogue with you and everything like that. Others are like, just get in. I got to go to my next patient. I'm out. You're ER. Are you ER?
Yeah.
Josh? So do you have to interact with your patients?
As little as possible.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I don't want to talk to you. You know, it's like,
It depends on the person and
Yeah.
how things are. But usually
okay. So the first thing you realize, it has to be intentional. It's not accidental. It can be accidental. But see, even if an accidental thing comes along, if you don't want to, you can let it go right by you, man. You know, like, someone comes into your life and says, Dave, what do I have to do to be saved? I don't know. I've got a meeting, okay? I mean, you can take an intentional drop in the lap like that and totally turn it into nothing. Okay.
You passed our other question. Okay. It's one thing to interact with people. I think a lot of people struggle to take that in a direction that is, I guess you'd call productive.
Right. Okay. So for those that are listening online, basically said it's okay to it's easy to interact, but to take that to a quote unquote, you know, situation where you can make a difference, right? And I'll be honest. I'll give you so my father-in-law is an evangelist. He really is. Anywhere we go, he will give out gospel tracts and share. And he feels more comfortable with Asians, right? So he's got this eagle eye for anybody who looks Asian. And he'll talk to them. And he'll say, I have a best friend. His name is Jesus. Here, take this. He'll talk to the waiter. He'll talk to the mayor. He'll go anywhere and share Jesus, right? But he doesn't build a relationship. So he's doing what you're saying. But without the first interaction, I find it really difficult. We went on a cruise, and we took both sets of parents on this cruise. And my father-in-law, true to form, shared with you're talking 3,000 people on the boat, right? Within the second day on the cruise, the Asians were avoiding him like the plague. And the word got out that said there's a preacher, Chinese preacher on board who's trying to convert you. And so they avoided him, you know. What I'm trying to tell you, Ryan, is you earn the right to be heard. So it may not lead to that yet, and it may not be at that point. It could be later on. But all you're trying to do is just start a conversation or a relationship. If it leads to the next step, that's awesome. And this happened for me a couple times. Plumber, comes from a Mormon background, and we were just talking about some spiritual stuff. And he goes, well, what do you believe? You go, you really want to know? You know, I'm holding him up from doing his job, but he really wanted to know. So I spent 10 minutes sharing with him the simple gospel, especially in line with Mormon theology. Not trying to offend him, but just say, here is what we believe, you know. So, but I don't always get that chance. I could start a thing with a plumber and he leaves. But I might have another plumbing issue down the road and I'm going to call him again and it'll happen. So not everything leads that way, but you just want to be a person who engages with people, you know. I mean, you know, Karen, if you said some extra words to someone, thank you for reading my book, you know, oh, that's your daughter, she loved it too, that's great, you know, well, I'm coming out with another one, hope you guys like it. What are the chances that they're going to purchase the next book versus, thanks, next, you know, I mean, you know, it's just, the engagement is the thing that builds a relationship, okay? Is that okay? Okay. Unconventional or even hostile interaction, this is what who has said, I'm afraid? I'm afraid to talk to someone because I'm afraid. Just in general, I'm afraid of talking to people, but I don't want to talk to them about the gospel, which is what we're going to talk about on the third workshop, right? Okay, so let's do this. Jesus, again, met with a Samaritan and she was a woman. That was a no-no. You just don't do that. You know, and so he had no problem going into the proverbial lion's den to talk to people. Of course, he's the Son of God. What does he have to be afraid of? But, you know, I mean, maybe today it's more polarizing. Like, you really do believe, after what happened to Charlie Kirk, yeah, I could die for what I say or believe. That's not usually the case. The worst is you're just mocked or someone shouts at you. But I've learned, like, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I'm just telling you. But here's what I've found, because I'll open up the gospel, whether it's people on a plane or someone I talk to. I really do believe this. 90% of the people are not hostile. 30 to 50% of the people I talk to, and you think about it, we're in America. If you're in a different country, it might be different. Come from a Christian background. They might have been formerly someone who was, you know, in a church, or they are now, or whatever. My wife one time, I don't know why, I was sitting away from my family, and I'm right here, and she sees me talk to a young woman, and she's like, "Why were you engaged? What were you?" I said, you know, it got on. I can't remember. I told her I was a pastor, and she goes, "Well, I'm a Christian, and I have a Christian boyfriend, and I'm just not sure if he's the right one." And so we were just talking and dialoguing, and I was telling her what she might look for and everything like that. So, you know, but there wasn't animosity or anything like that. It was just I opened up, I brought up spiritual stuff. It's easy for me because I'm a pastor. If I want to bring up, so what do? I'm a pastor. Either they act one of two ways. Oh, you're a pastor. I love my pastor. Great. And we haven't engaged. Others like, well, I don't go to church or anything. But tell me, what do you do? And some act real weird, like you're a holy man. Now they all of a sudden they change their language patterns. They word swearing, cursing, and drinking, and all of a sudden they act like really, I was on a fishing trip with my brother and his friends, right? And they know I'm a pastor, but that one guy kept calling me father. Father, I said, I'm not a priest. I'm a pastor, but he kept calling me father. I go, look, if you're going to do that, kiss my ring. All right? But it opened up opportunities for me to share with him because he came from a Catholic background. He wanted to know what's different. Well, one, I can get married. So usually 90% are friendly. And if they're not, just like you just said, like the Karens, if they put the, I don't want to hear, go. What I don't want to do is intentionally provoke them. I never will wear a MAGA hat. I'll never wear a Black Lives Matter. I don't want to be provocative. But I will wear a Journey of Faith shirt. I will wear a Christian shirt. Hopefully you're not bothered by that. If anything, it opens up and engages, like they know where you're coming from. Yeah, Josh?
I used to share the gospel, like go to public places with my friends. One of whom was a pastor in training. I don't think he actually got there because of illness, but we would go to malls and public places and share the gospel tracts and stuff. So I think like going two or more at a time helps, cause I'm an introvert and I run out of gas socially really quick, especially because you get the occasional hostile person, right? So it does drain me, at least by the end of the day or the night. And the other thing is like we would talk about making disciples, not converts. You know how Jesus would make disciples of all nations. So it took the pressure off to, we don't have to try to get them to pray the sinner's prayer, right? Like it's just like, and maybe even have a good time with them, like just like, oh, what do you believe? Oh, okay, we believe this, and just kind of make it conversational and fun, kind of helps.
More people might be open now than say even 10, 20 years ago, because this younger generation is more spiritually sensitive now. I don't think they're offended by that stuff. I told you the only issue I think Charlie Kirk had, because he's a devout believer and really espoused that, was he linked himself with Trump. And once you do that, you become political. And that's the thing, so if you're going out 2x2 in a mall, you don't wear a MAGA hat. I mean, it's just going to shut down any kind of dialogue. Some people are like, right on, man, but others might not. So I just try to be neutral, But we're going to talk more about that on the third workshop, okay? Don't be antagonistic or confrontational. You don't catch anything that way, It was funny. I was down in Ecuador, and my wife had a medical conference. They were from the East Coast. East Coast doctors tend to be very progressive, liberal. And it was so funny. She was talking to me, and my wife was amazed. She's just watching me. I talked about politics. She wanted to talk politics. And it was so funny because, I was telling her about Arizona politics, whether it was McCain or going back to even, whatever. And she said these words, which was fascinating to me. She goes, you know what? You're the first intelligent conservative I've met. And I just laughed at her. I said, well, there are many. It's just you don't happen to come in. Nowadays, I'd look at it, it's like we're all in our bubble, and we don't know everybody outside our bubble. But it was funny. That then led to me talking about my faith, because I'm a pastor, my wife's a doctor. And so I told her about the gospel, I told her about Jesus. And they kind of treat you like a strange animal in a cage, like, wow, this is really different. You're weird, But then I saw in her eyes, it just lit up. She goes, so what you're telling me is I'm a sinner, I'm going to hell. Or she didn't even say sinner. She goes, you're telling me I'm going to hell. Whoa, now we went from the theoretical to now personal. And that's when it became antagonistic. And I said, and I tried to back up. I said, I did not say you're going to hell. I said, the Bible says this. But from that point on, she shut down. And her husband later came to me and said, I'm really sorry, that's it. I said, no, it's cool. Because I think of what Jesus said. The gospel, by its very nature, is confrontational. You're either in or out. It's binary, okay? There's no gradations. You're either in or out. So, but to the extent you can, you try to not say, you're a sinner, you're going to hell, if you don't accept Jesus. You could say that, and maybe they might believe, but I think it's better if we talk about the love of Jesus and how he hates sin. So, okay. Next, make a point for contact. Now, what I mean by that is, what did Jesus do? He meets this woman. He could have let her get her water and then left. But he said, can you get me some water? I'm like, well, that's pretty straightforward, Jesus. She goes, go get your own water. No, she didn't. She got him water. But he used that question and request to open up dialogue with her, And opening up the dialogue is what it's all about. And for us, we got to come up with something that will open up the dialogue. A lot of it's questions, a lot of it's pointing out something like this. So it could be offering water or snack. Offering or taking one. Hey, do you guys have some water I could, yeah, thank you, or you offer, I've got some extra, I was up at the top of Angel's Landing. Karen loves to hike, right, man? Did you actually go on the Angel's Landing? I'm too afraid. Right? But I'm up there and there are people. Those squirrels steal all your food, man. They do. Anyway. So I had snacks and I offered the people around me, hoping that would open up. Other things, offered to take pictures or, like, hey, can you, you see them all the time, people in a group who want a picture or they're doing selfies. Great opening. It's like, hey, can I take your picture for you? They love it, It's like, hey, is this your family reunion or are you coming here to celebrate it? That's how you open it up. It's like, hey, can I take your picture for you? Now, it happened right after COVID. We were in Utah and we were at the Narrows. It's a water, you hike through water. And it was right at the end of, and we said to this woman, I handed her I said, could you take our picture? And she looked like I was a leper, man. I'm like, remember, you didn't touch phones, you didn't touch anybody. And so I thought, okay, that didn't work. I just repelled her rather than drew her in. I was in a parking lot. These two women were next to their car with the hood up. And they had hajibs and everything like that. I just said, can I help you? Do you need any help? And they go, no. But I was willing to stop. And some of us could say, oh, look, with the thing, they've got someone coming to help them up or whatever. But by just intentioning, especially if I had a Christian shirt on, and if I went up to them and said, hey, can I help you? Do you need any help? Can I call anyone for you? I think it would make a great testimony. Which leads me to the next one, which is I do believe in wearing, like I wear funny shirts, and you see people doing it, right? They're staring at your chest, like reading what you're saying, right? But I love wearing the Journey of Faith shirt. I love wearing Christian shirts, even having a cross. Because it's a point of opening for some people. The people we're meeting may not be Christians at all, but some are backslidden Christians or people who are looking. And if they know you come from that and you show love or you show yourself, they may ask, hey, do you go to church? Where do you go to church? What's it about? I keep my business card on me. We do have generic, Christina, do we have generic Journey of Faith cards? We do. Take 3 or 4 of them and keep them in your wallet. When someone says, hey, where do you go to? Hey, here, this is our church. It's located here at services at 10:30. You don't have to really engage too much. But I like being more visible. My father-in-law, who is about the gospel, says this of me. And there's a phrase in Fukinese, but essentially his father told them this. It's like, that's a waste of time. Anything not having to do with the gospel is a waste of time. Going to a baseball game is a waste of time. Having a dog is a waste of time. That's how he looked at it. So he said to me just a couple of days ago, Derek, you're really interested in a lot of things. I read a lot. You're kind of wasting your time. I said, no, Dad, I'm not. Because I can talk to Mike about his sound system if I'm working. Or I can talk to, so-and-so about the Cardinals. Or I can talk about science or engineering. I can talk business. I just try to have a bunch of things that I know about to engage in that person and whatever they're doing. My brother-in-law is here from Yale, Connecticut. We spent 2 hours, and my wife finally came home, and she goes, what'd you talk about? He goes, it's amazing. We talked about everything. And it's like, because my goal is to stay engaged with you, and the best way I can stay engaged is not giving you my agenda, it's just hearing where you're at, and then accommodating that. In fact, my brother, who's a salesman, sells insurance. That's what he says. We learn to do that with insurance. He goes, I become the way my potential customer is. I talk the way they talk. I don't know what he meant, but it's like they just are a certain way. He becomes that, and so I think that's okay. You're trying to make a point of contact. Even you. I mean, Lydia, if you had a shirt that was in Japanese on there or something like, You know, like, it would be funny if your shirt said, I speak and read Japanese or something like that, right? All of us would be like, I don't know what to. But you meet Japanese people here, they'd be looking at it, they'd be like, oh, you know, they talk to you, and then you would talk to them back. And then it would be like, whoa, we just got a connection. What?
No, he was saying like, because
Anime
anime is
fans.
very popular.
Yeah.
now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be able to read it, right?
They'd ask you what it means.
Yeah, there you go.
Dress up like a K-pop dragon slayer, demon hunter. It's shirts and what we wear are a really good opening point. They really are. You know, I had an ASU shirt when I went overseas, man. I had at least a half dozen times. So, dude, you're from Arizona? I said, yeah. And he goes, go Devils. I said, go Devils. You know, I'm a Christian, but I say go Devils. But a friend gave me a shirt from Syracuse, right? He goes, people go, oh, you went to Syracuse? No, I didn't go to Syracuse. Someone gave this to me. You know, everybody who does a Harvard, Yale, Cal, Stanford, they didn't go there. That's just their shirt. But if you have a shirt that's more specific to you, you know, if you do Barrett Honors College, that's going to open up others who are Barrett Honors College people too. If you have a shirt that's Korean and they're like, you know, I know Korean or whatever, that will open up an opportunity. You know, it's just, you know, anything that identifies who you are, you know, what you are, you know. I'd rather be fishing. You know, I've had guys that come up to me, yeah, bro, I agree with you, you know. So, this is what I do. They said, what do you guys fish? What do you like to fish for? And I can engage a guy for 15 minutes on what he likes to do in terms of fishing, where you go, really, you've been there? What do you use for bait? You know, it's like, I tried doing this. It's just engaging them. And then, if I get the chance, I move it towards spiritual things, which we'll talk about on the third lesson. Is this hard, what I'm telling you guys? Or it's like, do you get what I'm saying? It's just hard if you've never done it. So this week you're going to do it, okay? It can be a little thing. Saying hi to someone you never would have said hi to. I'll even take that. Point. Look for commonality. Look for something you can connect with them on. Because I'm American, you know, I'm really not Asian, you know. I'll see a black guy that's walking by, man, and he's got dreads. I go, dude, your dreads are awesome. I wish I could do that, man. And he goes, yeah, man. Or I'll say to a girl, you know, I love your tattoo. What does it say? And then she'll tell me. And I just use that as a comment. I go, my wife won't never let me have a tattoo, you know. And then that leads to conversation even there. Or my daughter wants a tattoo, and my wife will kill her if she gets one, you know. Or I'll even tell them something like this. If you ever have that tattoo removed, red is the hardest color to get rid of. Well, my wife's a dermatologist. She knows. You know. So I open up whatever. Actually making a point of contact. My father-in-law being a doctor, it opens up a lot of people to talk to. My wife being a dermatologist, it opens up a lot. Someone just asked, I'm trying to get an appointment, you know, and I know my wife will contact that person and hopefully help them, you know. So, point of contact. So, steps to take. We're finished. Wow, I got done still in 5. Wow. Number 1, pray. This is what Pastor Eddie said. Prayer is the key. When you wake up in the morning, say, Lord, give me those intentional contacts. Trust me, if you really pray that sincerely, God's going to give them to you. Now, the problem is, when you get it, you've got to follow through with it. Right? When I am going on a plane, I go back to the Bay Area when my dad was dying of cancer. So nobody else is with me. Or usually we're 5 of us. Nobody wants to sit with me. So I'm usually, you know, my family all sits together and I'm alone, right? So I always pray to God, Lord, on the plane, give me a God opportunity to talk to the person next to me. And I've met some incredibly different people. Met a former 49er player. He had these 3 big Super Bowl rings. And so I got to talk to her for a half hour about that stuff, you know. Another woman, her parents were missionaries in Indonesia, and I saw her in you know, and then I got to talk to her. So much so that she's like, she spoke Bahasa, and she's like, come with me, I'll get you on, you know, to the hotel or whatever like that, you know. But it's like, you engage with that. So first, pray for the opportunity. Number 2, offer help. If you see someone needing help, offer it. Open the door. Do you need help with the groceries? You know, does that make sense? Like I said, those Muslim women whose car broke down, I offered to help. Might even pull over when someone's got a flat tire. It's like, do you need help? Now that takes effort. Most of us don't want to do that, right? But it does all, you know, you help someone. And they may, most likely they say, now that we have cell phones and AAA, most people can get their help. And they're like, no, thank you though, you know. If you have a little, oh, by the way, I don't put fish stickers on my car. Because if I drive like a jerk, I don't want them thinking like, you know, Christians are jerks and they're driving, so. Yeah. Yeah, so offer help. Number 2, 3, that's what Jesus, you know, Jesus actually was turning the tables. He needed physical water. He was offering her spiritual water. Focus on the other. Again, when you're talking to someone, it's not about you. It's about them. What's happening in your life. And my follower knows this. In Asian culture, you don't tend to open up much. But in white culture, man, just look at our talk shows, man. These people share everything about their life. And there are people who literally will tell you as a stranger, like, well, my son's got on drugs, and it was like, I'm really sorry. Best thing you do is like, well, I'm a follower of Jesus. I don't like even using the term Christian, because that could be anything and everyone. I said, I'm a follower of Jesus, and I believe prayer helps. Can I pray for him right now? Oh my goodness. 9 out of 10 times, they'll always take prayer. I don't know too many who say, no, don't pray for him, okay? Of course, he's going to burn in hell. No, I'm joking. Fostering intentional contact. That means meeting with people. That means actually setting up a time. Kathy and I have a list of you all on our wall. No, it's on my wall. It's over at my desk. It's all the people that we have not had a meal with. And I know that's scary. Dave, a little bit. Josh, we've met with you guys. But no, the people that we have, Karen, you're on my list. You know, I haven't gotten around to it, but Kathy and I were talking about we want to get together. And if I don't have that list, I'm not going to remember. I don't have that kind of memory, right? But I'm up there intentioning to meet with you. And so we have to intention it or it won't happen. Even in our small group, right, Anna? We want to sub-meet with, instead of the big group, we want to just meet with some of the individuals. Because that's where you really get to know a person. Now that works with us as Christians, but it also works with non-believer. I'd love to say we did it, and we have new people moving in the neighborhood. It's great if you went, hey, I'm your neighbor right down here. And you know what I actually do for them? I don't know if you're comfortable with this, but if you ever have extra garbage or whatever, and you need room, use our garbage can when it's out. Don't worry about it. You know, and they're like, cool, same thing. And I said, if you ever leave and you need someone to look after your yard or whatever, just ask and we'll be there for you. I've had this. They have 10 tons of gravel in their front thing. And I'll say, hey man, do you need help? I'll get my flat shovel. When you're ready, we'll go in and move it. That's intentional contact with the people around me. Make sense? But it takes effort to do it. My neighbor, we got so good. He goes, hey, by the way, when we're gone, you can use our pool and hot tub. I'm like, oh, wow, cool. He goes, but not first, because when we go out and use our hot tub, we're naked. I'm like, oh, wait. Way too much information, But I'm like, at least we have that kind of relationship where we can, talk. Okay, do you bathe before you go into your hot tub? But no, I mean, you want to have that kind of relationship with people. And I say especially with your neighbors, You know what opened up two things opened up for us to talk to people. Number one, my dog. Dogs are almost as good as babies for opening a conversation with people. You have a baby, everybody wants to go, oh, your baby. Don't touch the baby, okay? They want to, don't touch my baby. And dogs. Everybody loves a dog. You can't walk a cat, or maybe everybody would love a cat too, but I mean, they open up conversations. Oh, I do it. What kind of dog do you have? How long have you had it? And it's like, and they love talking about their dogs. Is it good with kids? So just use that opportunity. Yeah, I don't know. So that leads us to the last point. You have homework. Pray and look for intentional contacts that you make this week. Grace will send out a text to everybody, right? So that we're all on the same.
WhatsApp? WhatsApp?
Yeah, WhatsApp. Are all you on WhatsApp? Okay. So if you can do WhatsApp, so it will be labeled, intentional contact class or something like that. I will send out the first one because I know by tomorrow I will have contacted someone. And just anything you do, if all of you just do one, we would all be encouraged this week. But if we start seeing, hey, I talked to my gardener, or I prayed for so and so, they look like they were having problems. Love to hear it. Yes? I got done 3 minutes late, even though we're 5 minutes late. So, any thoughts? Are you afraid? Oh, come on. You'll be surprised when you do this, like, wow, people aren't biting my head off. They're just, they're going on with their life. Honestly, you all go grocery shopping, right? Okay, now my wife and kids are doing it. They don't even go in the store. They wait for them to deliver the groceries. But even that, you could talk to that person giving you your groceries. But when you're in line, just open up a conversation. Just try. Like, oh, I've never had that oil. Is it good? Like, nobody will look at you like, shut up, freak. Like, I'm not, somewhere. Okay, I can't say that. 1 out of 10 maybe like, just want to be a Karen, and, a literal Karen, and say, no, I'm not interested in talking to you. But Karen, if someone said that, like they saw something in your thing.
I'll be nice.
Huh?
I'll be nice.
Yeah, she don't want to be nice, but she'll be nice. All right. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Father, we thank you for this time. And I pray that this week, as there's intentional contacts made by people, that, Lord, they would be encouraged to see people are really generally friendly. And they will show love or respect to you as you show to them. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all.